I leaned forward to pull out my chair at the head table, the one with my name on the card in crisp calligraphy, and she leaned in, low voice, smooth like she was handing me a drink. Not here, go sit with the guests. I paused, hands still on the chair back. My heart didn't drop. My stomach didn't twist. Not yet. It was too sudden, too clean. Adrian can take this spot, she added, louder now. He earned it. Adrian Stone. I didn't have to turn around to know who she meant. I caught the scent of his cologne, that designer woodsy stuff, and the hush around our table shifted. My neck got hot. He stepped in from behind me like he was walking into a meeting he was late for but still in charge of. Navy suit, no tie, that little smile like he was doing everyone a favor by existing. Lila stepped aside with a hand to her hip, her silk dress catching the light. Take a seat, Adrian. Her voice was bright, calculated. Elaine, her mom, snorted and leaned toward her husband. Well, this just got interesting. Martin raised his glass, the lazy kind of nod that said he approved without having to say a word. Her sister Tessa shot me a grin like she'd just won a bet. My eyes went to the back of the room. My side of the family had clustered near the exit, away from the string lights and Instagram perfect decor. Damon, my brother, was halfway out of his chair. My dad just stared at his napkin. I didn't move right away. I let my hand fall from the chair, adjusted my jacket. That motion, that tiny thing, was the only control I had left in that moment. My name was still on the card, but I wasn't the one sitting. A woman at the next table whispered, "Wait, isn't he the husband?" Someone else answered, "Didn't he plan the whole thing?" My hands didn't shake. Not yet. My jaw was tight enough to click. I nodded once and said, "Carry on." Lila didn't even blink. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I turned, walked past the champagne tower, past the guest who avoided eye contact, and out into the lobby. There was a mirror in the hallway, and I caught a glimpse of myself. Nice jacket, polished boots, a man who had done the work. 14 weeks of vendor calls between HVAC runs, custom menu, signature cocktail, a cake shaped like a vintage mic because she loved Ella Fitzgerald. I'd stacked every penny to make her feel celebrated, and she gave my chair to a man in a suit. I stood by the water cooler, breathing slow, fists in my pockets, staring at the elevator. I wasn't gonna cry, not in there, not with them watching. I'd waited 14 weeks for this night, and I'd be damned if I let it end with a scene. So I straightened my spine and walked to the bathroom to wash my face. That wasn't how we started. 9 years back, I met Lila at a fundraiser for a youth rec center in Covington. I was there fixing a busted stage light. She was in communications, public affairs for some healthcare nonprofit, and walked straight up in this navy dress with heels that clicked like she owned the floor. She asked, "Who wired that?" And when I said me, she laughed and said, "Glad you're still breathing." I liked her right then, not because of her face or her legs, though those didn't hurt. It was the way she carried herself, like she was already halfway to the next rooms and daring you to keep up. She liked that I didn't flinch, that I could hold a ladder steady and show up early and not talk about myself too much. She said I made her feel grounded. 2 years later, we got married at her parents' lake house outside Bloomington. 68 people, string quartet, light breeze. Her dad gave a toast and said, "Lila's always aimed high. Curtis brings balance." Everyone laughed like it was sweet. I heard what he meant. Reliable, not dazzling. Our deal was clear. I ran my HVAC crew, emergency calls, crawl spaces, broken AC units at 3 a.m. She managed relationships, the public side, late meetings, client dinners, charity boards. I handled the bills, kept things running smooth. She handled the calendar, which meant fundraisers, benefit auctions, networking brunches that looked like fun from a distance. We both said we wanted kids. Later, she said, I agreed. Then later turned into next year. Then next year turned into now's not the time. I said it was fine. For a while, I meant it. Then I just stopped saying anything. Elaine, her mom, never liked my truck, said it was aggressively blue, commented on my boots, my hair, how I ate too fast. I took the hits. She wasn't my hill to die on. So when Lila said she wanted a birthday party that people would remember, I took it as a shot. A way back to something. I didn't say that out loud, but I meant it. I started checking venues on my lunch breaks. Found the iron foundry hall with high beams and exposed brick, the kind of place where even the napkins looked expensive. She didn't ask me to do it. I volunteered. She just nodded and said, "Nice, that'll be fun." I picked a rye old-fashioned with a grapefruit twist and got the bartender to name it the Lila. She smiled at that, said, "You're cute," like I'd handed her a flower. I booked a baker who did those crazy detailed cakes. Got one carved like an old microphone with cinnamon maple layers. She loved jazz singers from the 40s. I remembered that from a road trip years ago. I saved 14 grand across 6 months, doing extra service calls and skipping my usual weekend fishing trips. Told my guys to cover for me while I met with vendors. Drove out twice to taste appetizers I couldn't pronounce. They asked if I was getting remarried. I said no, just trying to make my wife feel seen. I picked napkin colors, sent her calendar invites, built a playlist for the jazz trio, and even ordered warm floor lights to make the tables glow just right after sunset. The week before the party, she told me Adrian might stop by. "He's just in town for a conference," she said. No big deal. I didn't ask questions. I didn't show my face. I just wrote his name card and placed it 2 seats down. A couple weeks before everything was finalized, I reached into the hall closet to hang up Lila's blazer after dry cleaning, and out fell a key card, white with gold trim. Hotel Whitfield, Cincinnati. She'd told me she was in Denver that weekend. Strategy retreat. I remember it clearly because I'd been dealing with a furnace motor that seized mid-freeze, and she'd texted, "Good luck with your hero work." I held the key card like it might bite me, just stared at it. Then I told myself what anyone tells themselves when they don't want the answer. Could have been a coworker's. Maybe she stopped over during a layover. Conferences get moved. People share rides. I tucked it back in her jacket pocket and shut the door. Next week, I noticed her phone lighting up at 12:47 in the morning. She turned it over fast, screen down. "Work thing," she muttered, still half asleep. "Agency folks in Seoul." I nodded, got out of bed, and just stood in the kitchen with the fridge humming behind me. I wasn't thirsty. I just needed to be upright. That's when Adrian started showing up. Not in person, just in her mouth. Adrian says health tech's pivoting hard this quarter. Adrian knows the owner of that steak place downtown, says we should try it. Adrian this, Adrian that. My stomach ticked every time. Little flags. Nothing loud yet. I didn't say a word. Not until I checked our joint account. A wire, $32,000. Memo line, Stone Ridge Partners. Project support. Adrian's firm. I stared at the transfer like it would explain itself. It didn't. So I started pulling statements. No flight to Denver, no hotel in Colorado. That same weekend, a stay at Hotel Whitfield in Cincinnati. 2 rooms, same floor. Charges under a corporate Amex, ending in 1134. I dug more. Austin, Portland, same pattern. Same hotel group. Always 2 rooms, booked within minutes of each other. All tied to that same Stone Ridge Amex. That's when I remembered something she'd forgotten. Her iPad still backed up to the cloud. We'd set it up months ago when we tried syncing calendars. She gave up after 2 days. I didn't. I logged into the family cloud, dug through her message backups. There they were. AS. Curtis will handle the party details. We'll have a soft launch after the celebration. He still thinks it's about us. We'll be clean after. The Curtis situation. That one got me. Not my husband. Not Curtis, who's working overtime to plan the best night of my year. Just the Curtis situation. My chest didn't just go cold. It folded in. I didn't break anything. I didn't scream. I printed screenshots. I pulled hotel bills, emails, calendar entries, bank transfers, labeled everything. Created folders with dates, places, merchant codes. Then I created a spreadsheet, 12 tabs, 1 for each trip. Included notes, times, cross-checked room numbers. I knew what this looked like, but I also knew what it was. I saved it all to a flash drive. Created a folder on my desktop labeled Water Heater Manuals, a folder she'd never bother to open. Before I finished, I sat back, cracked my knuckles, and asked myself one thing. Do you want to confront her now, or do you want to be ready when it counts? I clicked the folder shut and walked out to the garage to fix the coil on my buddy's rooftop unit. Because nothing calms a man like a clean line of copper and work that doesn't lie to you. Carla Mendez worked out of Rowe and Kaplan downtown. Damon got her name from a coworker who'd crawled out of a bad split with his tools intact. That mattered to me. Tools are a man's hands. I walked into her office with a banker's box and dumped it on the conference table. Receipts, screenshots, hotel folios, wire confirmations, the spreadsheet with tabs labeled by city. Carla didn't blink. She skimmed, tapped a page, then leaned back. "You built me a staircase," she said. "I just have to climb it." Her plan was clean. Let the party happen. Document the public peace. Protect my half of anything landing in the joint account. Put Lila's decisions in daylight without me throwing the first punch. No threats, no scenes, facts only. I asked, "What do I do right now?" "You prepare," she said, "and you don't tip your hand." Next call was to Jay Lynn, the venue manager at the Iron Foundry Hall. Jay was all spreadsheets and checklists. Hated drama, loved clean books. I told him there might be a billing issue tied to a corporate card. I didn't say names. He sighed once and said, "I need policy, not gossip." We set a quiet signal. 2 fingers on my lapel meant pause bar service and check billing. If the payment didn't clear, he'd follow venue policy. No speeches, no favors. After that, I called the Amex corporate fraud line. I kept my voice steady. "I believe a private equity firm's corporate card is being used for non-business personal events," I said. "Venue deposit, bakery, band retainers." They asked for documentation. I had it ready in an email titled Unit Warranty. Dates, amounts, merchant codes, the card ending, the memo lines. The rep thanked me and gave me a case number, said someone would review. Carla drafted protective notices to my bank. Simple letters that said, "We disputed third-party corporate funds entering our joint account and requested preservation." She also drafted a letter to Stone Ridge's compliance team. No accusations, just facts and attachments with timestamps. "Paper likes daylight," she said. "People behave when they know it's coming." Damon lined up 3 friends to be present at the party. No heroics, no comments, just eyes in different corners of the room. He asked if I wanted him to say anything, if it went sideways. "No," I said. "Just watch." My dad volunteered to hang back near the doors. He said it like he was talking about parking, in case folks need help remembering what they saw. I bought a new shirt the next day. Navy, fit right in the shoulders. I practiced breathing in the truck between service calls, 4 in, 6 out, until it felt automatic. I didn't rehearse speeches. I didn't imagine outcomes. I kept my hands busy and my mouth shut. At home, Lila floated through the week like everything was normal. She asked about appetizers, said the cake idea was fun, kissed my cheek once, distracted, already looking past me. I watched, I listened. I moved money where Carla told me to move it. I left enough so nothing looked odd. I kept the folder closed. The night before the party, I laid my jacket on the bed and smoothed the lapel where my fingers would go. 2 fingers. Simple. I told myself one rule and stuck to it. If she didn't pull the trigger, I wouldn't either. If she did, I'd make sure nobody could say I imagined it or lost my mind. I locked the truck, stood there for a second with the engine ticking, and walked inside to set my alarm. Because when you measure twice, you don't rush the cut. The bathroom mirror still had streaks from someone washing off eyeliner. I stared at my face for 10 seconds, rolled my sleeves back down, and headed out. The music was still going when I re-entered the ballroom. Low jazz, the trio halfway through a Coltrane tune. People were laughing again, clinking glasses. No one noticed me at first. I walked straight to the band. The singer saw me coming and didn't flinch. Just nodded, stepped back, and handed me the mic like we'd practiced. Because we had. 2 nights ago, at soundcheck, before anyone else showed up, I turned toward the crowd and let the room breathe. "Evening," I said, voice even, solid. "I'm Curtis Hale, Lila's husband." Chairs creaked, forks paused, heads turned. Adrian's smile faltered, just for a second. Lila's back stiffened like she'd been braced for it, but hoped it wouldn't come. "I want to thank everyone for being here tonight," I said. "Vendors, musicians, guests. Some of you flew in, some of you came straight from work. We appreciate you." I kept my eyes on the room, not her. Not yet. This night didn't build itself. Total cost came out to about $57,500. Venue, band, bar tab, microphone, cake. A few chuckles, forced, then quiet again. $14,500 came from our personal savings. The rest, $32,000 wired directly from Stone Ridge Partners. That's a private equity firm, in case you were wondering. Lila's friend Adrian is a managing partner there. Now they were listening. I kept going. Generous of them, really. Unless someone out there thinks a PE firm covering a birthday party might be a compliance issue. At that moment, I gave Jay Lynn the cue, 2 fingers on my lapel. Bar lights shifted from amber to white. Jay didn't make a scene. He just walked over to Lila with his tablet and said, calm and clear, "Do you have another card? This one's been flagged for review." She didn't answer him. She was staring at me, tight-lipped, throat clenched. I turned back to the room. I know some of you heard Lila mention work travel this past year. Denver, D.C. She told me she was speaking at panels. I clicked the remote in my hand, and the slideshow on the projector paused. Thing is, I cross-checked the card used for hotel bookings. A few people shifted in their chairs. Same Amex, ending in 1134, same firm. Booked under Adrian's assistant for him and Lila. 2 rooms, same hotels, same weekends. In Cincinnati, Austin, Portland. I didn't curse. I didn't yell. I just let it land. Not my job to tell a company how to spend its money. Not my job to guess what a grown woman does on her trips. But I know what I saw, and I've got the receipts. Lila stepped forward then, jaw tight, voice low and sharp. "Stop." Adrian moved toward her, reached for her elbow. She didn't pull away. Elaine's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Tessa looked like a pop balloon. Martin, her father, just stared straight down at the tablecloth like it was his exit strategy. I took one more breath. I'm not a lawyer, I fix furnaces. But mine says this state splits marital assets down the middle. That includes half of whatever lands in our joint account. Yes, even birthday donations from the corporate sponsors. I looked straight at Adrian. Your compliance office has my email with attachments. Then I stepped back. Jay cleared his throat. Venue policy's simple. If payment isn't cleared in 25 minutes, health and liquor rules say we shut it down. The silence had weight now. Dense. Someone's fork clinked against a plate by accident, and nobody laughed. Then a clap. One, sharp, from the back. It stopped as fast as it started, but the damage was done. The illusion was broken. People looked around, confused, whispering. Some stood up. Others leaned away like they didn't want their clothes to catch guilt by association. Adrian said nothing, just adjusted his cufflink. Lila's eyes were wild for a second, like she couldn't find the door. I handed the mic back to the singer, nodded once, and walked off the stage. Damon tossed me a pillow and a blanket, told me the futon in his office folded flat, and didn't ask a single question. I laid there staring at his ceiling fan, hearing the party in my head on loop. Adrian's hand on her elbow, Elaine's laugh, that chair, my chair. I slept maybe 3 hours, woke up to 42 missed calls. Lila's name filled the screen. Her first text, "You humiliated me." Second one, a minute later, "We can talk." I didn't respond. By noon, the videos started hitting social, at least 3 angles. One caught Lila saying, "You earned it," as Adrian slid into my chair like he owned the silverware. Another caught Elaine laughing into her wine glass like it was her wedding, not her daughter's birthday. The comment sections weren't kind. Her husband planned the whole party. Bro got iced out at his own event. Stone Ridge paying for birthday cake. Compliance gonna love that. I forwarded the cleanest clips to Carla. She didn't wait. Filed separation papers. Monday morning, preservation of assets, freeze on joint cash movements, and formal notice about third-party corporate funds deposited without spousal consent. No drama. Just paperwork and facts. "We won't drag this unless we have to," she said. But we're not blinking either. By Wednesday, Adrian's name hit 2 trade blogs. Stone Ridge partner on leave during internal review. Improper use of funds under board scrutiny. Sources cite optics concern over personal expenses. Translation: he got caught with his pants up and his wallet open. Lila didn't call again for 2 days. Elaine did. Left a voicemail that said, "Family matters shouldn't be turned into circus acts. We handle things in-house." I saved the message. By Thursday, I had my stuff packed. Carried it myself. No truck, no help. Just a duffel bag and a tool case. I moved into the garage apartment behind my dad's shop. 1 bedroom, linoleum floor, counter chipped at the corner from where I dropped a wrench 4 years ago. Still had the dent. It smelled like fresh-cut pine and coffee grounds. He left the pot on for me. Felt more like home than the condo ever did. That Friday morning, I walked into the shop before sunrise. My crew was already halfway through loading the van. No one said a word, not at first. Then Marco looked up from his clipboard and grinned. "Boss," he said, "your mic game was tight." The others laughed, short and quiet. I gave a nod. That was all we needed. We got back to work. 2 busted furnaces, a rooftop unit with a leaking valve, and a coil that fought me like hell for a full hour before finally giving up. The kind of work where you either focus or you bleed. Work helped. Always has. I didn't check her messages, didn't scroll, didn't wonder what came next. I just kept my head down and my hands moving. Big glass walls, cold chairs, that kind of fake plant you see in waiting rooms and airport lounges. Carla laid out her files. I sat to her right, hands folded, jaw tight. I'd showered, shaved, and worn a clean button-down, but I still felt like I'd dragged in drywall dust. Lila came in second, heels quiet, face unreadable. Behind her was Harlan, her lawyer. Clean-shaven, slick suit. Watch that probably cost more than my van. He didn't look at me when he said it. We're proposing an equitable split. Spousal support to maintain standard of living. Lila keeps the condo for continuity. Carla didn't look up. Just slid our folder across the table. Screenshots, hotel pairings, bank wires, the Stone Ridge deposit. Also proof the down payment on the van and garage apartment was premarital, funded 4 years before the marriage. Harlan skimmed, didn't say a word for 30 seconds. Lila kept her eyes down. "We'll review," he finally muttered. Meeting ended in under an hour. I didn't speak once. 2 days later, Carla called me while I was replacing a blower motor on an old rooftop unit. "We pulled her personal cards," she said. "She took out a $16,000 line 3 months ago. Maxed it. On what? Business wear? Travel companions? We also found 55 grand in hidden credit card debt and a personal loan she didn't disclose. Total unsecured, 71,000. I let that sit in my ear while I tightened a bolt. Next mediation, Harlan looked different. Same suit, tighter face. "We're offering a straight split on real assets," he said. "Lila keeps her retirement untouched. Curtis pays support." Carla didn't even flinch. "No support. He keeps his tools, his truck, and his apartment. He gets half of all joint cash, including the Stone Ridge wire. She takes her debts. We're done here." Lila stared at the table like it might save her. For a second, just one, I felt the old pull. Maybe say something kind, maybe make it easier. But then I heard her voice again, clear as glass. "Not here. Go sit with the guests." So, I said nothing. A week later, Harlan called Carla with a new offer. Final one. I'd keep my place, my truck, my tools, half the joint account. Clean split. No support, either side. She'd take the personal debts. Both parties walk. No more rounds. Carla texted me, "Your call." I walked into the garage, shut the door, and stood in the silence. This wasn't about revenge, wasn't about payback. It was about being done. I texted back, "I choose freedom." And just like that, the rope around my chest let go. I drove straight home from the shop that night and pulled the old chipped counter out of the garage apartment with a crowbar and a screwdriver. Didn't ask for help, just did it. Then I sanded a slab of butcher block I'd been saving and installed it myself. Cut it to fit, measured twice, anchored it with 3-inch screws and washers. No shortcuts. I built shelves from leftover 2x10s I'd stacked behind the shed. Cut them clean, stained them dark, bolted them to the wall with brackets I found in a box marked MISC. Looked better than anything we had in the condo. Mom came by one afternoon with curtains she'd sewn herself, pale green with little stitched diamonds. "Nothing fancy," she said. I hung them anyway. Damon texted and said, "Couch inbound," then showed up hauling a love seat from a neighbor's curb. Leather cracked, spring in the corner a little shot, but it sat solid. We angled it in and cracked beers on the tailgate like it was a whole renovation show. I wasn't fixing up a temporary place. I was making it mine. Work started picking up out of nowhere. Word of mouth got weirdly good after the party videos. I didn't advertise, but calls came in from clients asking for the guy who told the truth at a jazz party, or that HVAC guy with the mic. I leaned into it. Hired a second tech, Javon, who'd been doing installs at Lowe's but had real potential. Then brought in Grace part-time to handle overflow calls. She was fast, smart, and didn't flinch in crawl spaces. I ran the numbers at night from the kitchen table. I wasn't rich, but I wasn't drowning. A brown envelope came from Carla one Thursday. Final decree. I signed it on my dad's old drafting table. Lila's signature looked like a brand stamp. Mine looked like a man who's signed for deliveries since dial-up internet. 2 months later, I saw the headline, Stone Ridge names interim managing partner. Adrian was out. The follow-up said he'd resigned to consult, which is corporate speak for a soft landing with no runway. I didn't smile, but I didn't feel bad either. A week after that, I ran into Lila outside a bakery downtown. She wore sneakers and no makeup, hair tied back. She looked normal, human, tired. She saw me, stopped, and said, "I'm sorry." I nodded. "Me too." We stood there while a delivery truck beeped in reverse and 2 teenagers smoked by the alley. Then she added, "He reached out." I said no. I didn't ask what that meant. I just gave another nod and stepped aside so she could pass. That Saturday, I drove over to the rec center where we first met, walked in, found the guy in charge, and said, "I've got some time and some tools." They put me with the teens. I showed them how to hang drywall without breaking their wrists and how not to electrocute themselves wiring a junction box. That night, I slept better than I had in 2 years. The next week, during a routine permit inspection, a woman from the city office, Nora, asked me about ductless systems. Brown hair, steel-toed boots, clipboard that looked lived in. We talked for 20 minutes in a hallway, didn't exchange numbers. The week after that, she stopped by the shop with a coffee in hand. Accident, she said. It wasn't. It felt easy in a way I didn't know could exist. 9 months after I signed the papers, my phone rang with a number I didn't know. I let it go once. Didn't feel like playing Guess the Ghost. But it rang again 30 seconds later, and something in me said, answer it. End it right. "Curtis?" Lila's voice. Soft, almost careful. I didn't say anything. "I'm sorry," she started. "Not the quick version. I mean it this time." I waited. She went on quieter. "My mom always pushed the image thing. Adrian made it feel easy, fast. I liked the rush of it, and I thought..." She trailed off. "Thought what?" "I thought you'd always be there. You were solid, reliable, the guy who shows up." I let the silence do the work. Then she said, "Can we meet for coffee? Just for closure." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't curse. I gave her the truth. "I don't need closure," I said. "I needed a chair at my wife's table. I needed a partner. That ship sank the night you gave my spot away." She didn't argue, just said, "Okay," and hung up. I stood in my kitchen, watching the afternoon light hit the butcher block. I cut myself. Clean lines, level grain, nothing fancy, just mine. My phone buzzed again. New text. "Nora, still good for Tuesday? Boiler room walkthrough at 10. I smiled without thinking and typed back, "I'll make time." Later that evening, I drove past the Iron Foundry Hall. Some couple was taking engagement photos under the marquee. She held up her hand. He was laughing. Inside, the band was running sound check. Soft drums, tuning brass. It sounded like a fresh start for someone else. I parked by the river, cracked the truck window, and just sat for a minute. Wind off the water, faint music. The same venue where my seat got reassigned like I didn't matter. But it didn't sting anymore. It just measured things. I knew where I stood now. I knew what I brought. I knew who I'd never be again. People ask if I won. I don't look at it like that. I didn't post a victory speech. Didn't spike a ball. I told the truth in a room full of people, and I walked out of a life that tried to shrink me. If there's revenge, it's quiet. Adrian's a footnote. Lila lives with her choices, and I get up every day, fix what's broken, and come home to a place I built with my own 2 hands. That's enough. And I swear on every ladder I've ever climbed, if someone ever tries to move my chair again, I'll build my own table.